Well, look at this. Steve Ditko's Amazing Heroes and Monsters ended up with about 330 backers. We pushed this really, really hard on this channel, which I'm glad. I know a bunch of you guys got this as well. I got my books in yesterday and actually read the Mr. A Lost Tales book, which is pretty interesting. And so I'm going to comment on that. Obviously, I don't really have a way to like pull out my camera anymore to just show little things. It's just my little like whatchamacallit, the tripod thing that I held my phone on to do that. It broke, and it was just too much of a pain in the butt to do. So I'm just going to talk about it. Yeah, I'm doing a review without actually showing, which I guess is okay. But this was 4 books, and very fun stuff, and I really love Steve Ditko's work. If you guys have not watched the channel before, this guy is my hero, and I really appreciate everything he did for comics. One of the most creative people ever in the industry, with a wonderful philosophy, amazing work ethic. This is exactly what comics should be all the way around. It's, to be honest, like 330 backers is kind of sad for this, even though it's way better than it's been in years. Most of the Steve Ditko campaigns he's been running on Kickstarter for, it's been decades, have been getting like 125, 130, 150 backers. So this actually doubled that. As I said, we covered it pretty hard on here. And these guys, Mark Ditko and Mort Todd, who actually are running this, went around and did some wonderful work promoting this. They worked their tails off, and of course their uncle would be proud of that. This is where it's at now. But as I was saying, like, this should have 3,000 backers. Let's be honest. This is Steve freaking Ditko, guys. And so hopefully as we get the word out on this stuff, it'll continue to grow, because that's what we need to do, is preserve great classic comics and do this. So they're relaunching a lot. And as I said, there were 4 books on this Mr. A's Lost Adventures. I got this. Of course, The Fantastic Giants, also got that. Static, which is my favorite Steve Ditko superhero. And then the Avenging World #1 reprint, which a really, if you've never read this, guys, track one down. It's like, it really details his philosophy in a beautiful, beautiful way. Look at it. Look at just like the artistry here that you can see in all this stuff as he goes off about this. And a lot of this is just like single page talks about philosophy with an illustration that actually matches it. Really, really innovative stuff, and that's exactly why I love Steve Ditko. So I did not get the holofoil variants and the like. They look pretty. I've seen some people posting them on Facebook and the like. It didn't feel right for a Steve Ditko comic. I mean, holofoil really wasn't around back then. I don't know. It just didn't feel right to me. So I got the regular editions, and I got them in print. Now, this is pretty interesting. The Lost Adventures was originally a Steve Ditko like kind of reboot by Mort Todd. Was trying to get a 5-issue series going back in the day, and he wanted to do it all in color because Steve Ditko's stuff in the past had only been printed in black and white. And the reason it had been printed in black and white is because these indie presses, it's really, really expensive back in the day to get full color print runs done. It's a little different these days with like print on demand. And so they were not really able to do so back then because of financial constraint purposes. And so they've reprinted these in color for the first time right now, which is pretty awesome. So Mr. A was never in color, but he actually, Steve Ditko and Mort Todd, when they originally published this book, wanted to present this like this, because as you see, Mr. A is completely white. And this is, of course, a talk about morality, not race, morality. Black and white, good and bad, and of course, and it is a big indication and a big thematic thing about how it looks. You can see the villain's almost all dark here. He's very much corrupted. You could tell by just like all the squiggly lines on him. Versus Mr. A is very clean, very very simple, and therefore he's got the right. And it's just in the image you can tell who's good, who's bad. Now this issue had 3 stories to it. It had a full-length book, which is actually unusual for Steve Ditko's independent stuff. If you don't know, most of his work was around like 8-page stories. He liked to do that kind of thing when he was doing these, and it was something that was a lot of fun. But this is really cool. You got to see this whole story about this guy who like bought off the city officials and like was corrupt, and then went on the run as Mr. A was chasing him down, and all the people who like helped him and aided and abetted him along the way. There was no quarter for them because that's what Mr. A does. He does not care. He's not Batman, who's going to be like, I will never kill anybody, and I respect everybody unless there's legally, even though I'm a vigilante, they must be legally bound. Mr. A doesn't care. He goes and hunts them down and scares the hell out of them, and it's fantastic. And that's what these people are. Like evil is afraid of good like this. And so if you just shine a light like this and are unabashed about it and unrepentant about it, you will eventually scare the hell out of these people. It's good. And that's a good thing, as they say. So really cool. I love seeing it in color. The colors were decently done. I'd say they looked a little more like you see from early, like late 90s, early 2000s, sort of a look to them that were not too, gradient like in the way that it's done, and that's intentional again, because again, this art was never designed for the way that modern colors are done, and so it looked good. Lots of good contrast in here, and enjoyable. And honestly, the reading in color was just a much better experience. And so this character actually in the back, after the first instance here, you have the exploder who literally explodes, and that's spoiler. That is an 8-page backup on this. And then there's a second backup with this character right here, who it then is a serial that continues in the next issue. So you get a full like comic-length story and then 2 shorts, one of which is a serial that continues. And very, very solid. I so much enjoyed this. This was like one of my happiest reads of the year last night, and I loved seeing it color. I really think it shines, and I think it's a big change in a good way from what we've seen in the past. So these are now fulfilling, and I know they're going to be doing a lot more with Steve Ditko's presses. I'm lobbying right now to try to write some of these characters if they do open them up to people actually licensing these characters that he's done before, because like it'd be a huge honor to do. So yeah, guys, if you are friends with Mort Todd and Mark Ditko, tell them that you'd like to see a static book by JDA, and I would love to do it. It'd be a lot of fun. So good stuff right here, and wonderful. And yes, check this out if you haven't read it. This is like a 9 out of 10 all the way around, and that doesn't even go to the other books. I haven't covered the other books really, because I've read them all already, except for this was the only one I hadn't read yet, so I only read this last night. Fantastic Giants is great stuff from Charleston Comics, and written by Joe Gill. If you like King Kong and Godzilla stuff, you're gonna dig it. Good fun. And Static, like I said, is my favorite superhero, so if you can track that down, definitely worth reading as well. And those are the 4 books all covered in the way that the campaign went. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.